Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Story Mode channel. I know it's been a couple weeks since I posted, and last time we talked, I said I'm gonna make a list speculating at what could be in the MCU Phase 5. Well, Comic Con came and went, and we know what's going to be in the MCU Phase 5. We also know when Phase 4 is ending, and we know some of Phase 6. So today I kind of wanted to talk about those things and give you guys my rankings for the things I'm most excited for and the things I'm least excited for. Before we do so, please hit that like button down below and subscribe to this channel for continued pop culture content. I've released a bunch of tier lists, and I'm going to be releasing some top 10s here in the future. Also, some more discussion type videos, some news type stuff, some more Star Wars stuff. If you haven't checked out Star Wars Lads, that's the channel I run that is Star Wars related, where I talk about Star Wars multiple days a week. Check that out, as well as some of the newer videos I released. History of Star Wars Part 2. Also, Star Wars What If, I started on that channel. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek series, a comedy series. Check those out on that channel as well. So without further ado, let's talk about the 17 projects that have been confirmed for MCU Phase 4, 5, and 6. I am going to be including She-Hulk and Black Panther Wakanda Forever in this list because they haven't come out yet. So starting with number 17, for me, it's Echo. Mainly because Hawkeye was not one of my favorite MCU shows. If you've seen my tier list for the rankings of the MCU, Echo was a character I found semi-interesting, but I didn't think they did a great job really giving her too many reasons to want to watch a show about her. Now, the only reason I'm very much semi-excited for Echo is the continued rollout of more and more Daredevil stuff. But other than that, Echo really does not intrigue me that much. Number 16 is a similar fashion, Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Agatha was a decent villain in WandaVision. Now, there are things that I think could be quite interesting in Agatha, really focusing on witches and magic and stuff like that in the MCU. Doctor Strange has done a good job starting that magical side of the Marvel Universe, bringing that into film, but Agatha, Coven of Chaos could really further that. So coming in at number 15 is What If Season 2. What If was a show that I was kind of mixed on, but I did really like the last 2 or 3 episodes, as well as the Doctor Strange episodes. I think when What If hits, it can hit really well. It is a show that definitely needs a concept to be really good for the episodes to be that interesting. So season 2 is something that I think will be an exciting step forward. So coming in at 14 for me is actually the next Marvel project, and that's She-Hulk Attorney at Law. She-Hulk Attorney at Law, both trailers just have not looked that great to me. It's not the CGI either. I can get over mediocre CGI. It just doesn't seem like a show that really is going to grab me. MCU shows so far have really struggled with sticking a landing. I think She-Hulk looks like it's a bit smaller scale show, at least in terms of its larger narrative, which hopefully will allow it to stick the landing a little better. I am excited to see Bruce Banner back. As I said, I'm very excited to see Daredevil in the show. Abomination as well. Tim Roth. I feel like Abomination didn't really get his full due in Incredible Hulk. I've been waiting for years now. What is it, 14 years to see what will happen with him in Abomination. I'm glad Abomination gets a bit more time to shine. I'm still kind of wary about She-Hulk. Right now, it is only my 14th most anticipated MCU project of the next 4 years. So 13 for me is Ironheart. And Ironheart is really a character I don't know much about. So in that sense, I am kind of interested in seeing who is she and what's her whole role and learning a bit more about something that I don't really know where they're going. So number 12 for me is The Marvels, which is coming out next year. The Marvels is a film I'm very mixed on whether I should be that excited for it. I think when it comes to cosmic Marvel, that is a side of Marvel that I very much so enjoy, and I don't feel like we've explored to its fullest. I would like to see this whole thing really fleshed out and a lot more depth added to it. Carol Danvers seems to be gone all the time. So what's she doing? Where is she? I'd like that side of her to be brought out more. I'm not a huge fan of the first Captain Marvel movie, so that's one of the reasons why this has dropped for me a bit. Happy with Ms. Marvel, but I never loved the show, so that's another reason. But I do love Kamala Khan. I think she's a great character, and I'm more excited to see her in this than I am Carol. So number 11 for me is Thunderbolts, which is something I would be more excited for if William Hurt hadn't passed away. Red Hulk is such a big part of Thunderbolts. I really wanted to see what they did with him as Red Hulk. Now, obviously, what they can do is just have him be Red Hulk the whole time and cast somebody else as the voice and pretend like it is the same character, same Thunderbolt Ross. But there's just something that's going to be missing there without him, unfortunately. And that's nobody can control that, but unfortunately, that's how it is. Also, Deadpool. This is going to be interesting to see how Deadpool is related to Thunderbolts. Is this going to be what brings Deadpool into the MCU? But I think that's the thing I'm most intrigued about by Thunderbolts. It's also the furthest project away when we're talking about Phase 5. So there's a lot of things that can change in the next couple of years leading up to this, but I think for now, I'm cautiously optimistic for Thunderbolts. And number 10, actually, this would have been a lot lower until the trailer just came out a couple weeks ago, but this is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm still very hesitant about Black Panther Wakanda Forever because obviously Black Panther is not in the movie. He has passed away, unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, but we do not have him at the center of this film, and it seems to be a film that's really dealing with a Wakandan transition, a Wakanda that's embracing the legacy of its hero, the legacy of its king, and looking for a way to move forward. There's hints of Killmonger in this trailer. I'm excited for the filmmaking here. It looks like it's going to be a very cool science fiction movie, if nothing else. And I think for me at this point, I'm enjoying when Marvel is getting weird and different. Also, I can't wait to see what Namor does in this film. I'm looking forward to see how they use him in the MCU. So that makes number 9, Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion is a story that I don't think they're going to really directly adapt. I think it's more going to just be like a Nick Fury and Skrull focused show. I don't know how many of our actual main MCU characters are going to end up being Skrulls. That being said, I'm interested in the concept, and I think the main thing that really intrigues me about this show is Emilia Clarke and who is she playing and what's her role in this whole thing. But I'm also just, again, looking for something different. It's cosmic. It's non-main characters leading this whole thing. I'm just kind of excited to see what they do with it. Number 8 for me is Captain America New World Order. I feel like I should be a bit more excited for this film, but I did not love Falcon and Winter Soldier. That being said, though, the Captain America movies are some of my favorites in the MCU, but I do really like the character Sam Wilson. I like the way he was handled for the most part in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think the continued involvement from Bucky Barnes and the Winter Soldier and that relationship, seeing how that all plays out, will be another thing that will get me excited for this. But I am excited to see what they can do with a full film with Sam Wilson as Captain America. Number 7 for me is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is a movie that I've been excited for since they announced it. Ant-Man movies for me, I think the first one is a little underrated. The second one is one of my least favorite Marvel movies. And you would think that would temper my excitement for another Ant-Man movie. But again, I really like Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. I really like Evangeline Lilly's Wasp. I think this whole cast of characters, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, all of them are so good that I am looking forward to seeing what they can do in a weirder, bigger story and introducing the real Kang, not the He Who Remains Kang, but the one that's going to be the villain of our Avengers Kang Dynasty film and seemingly this entire phase of Marvel movies. I'm pretty excited to see what they do with Kang and how it's introduced, and why is Ant-Man apparently going to be such a big part of this entire phase, that he is the movie that's launching the main villain of the whole phase. Number 6 for me is Loki Season 2, and Loki is my favorite show so far in the Marvel Disney Plus era. I think it's been by far the best, mainly because by having a Season 2 confirmed, it's able to stick its landing a bit better because we don't have to tie everything up. But regardless, I think Loki, Sylvie, Mobius, all the characters that have been introduced in this series have been great. I really liked what they've done with this whole thing. Tom Hiddleston has seemingly found a new lease on life as Loki, kind of like Chris Hemsworth did with Thor in Ragnarok. There's an excitement about Loki again that I really didn't feel for a long time, and I'm quite excited to see how the timekeepers and how all these multiversal things and how the different timelines and all of that can really tie into the larger MCU. This feels like the most important show, at least that has come out so far in terms of its storytelling connecting to the larger films and the larger narrative. I'm excited to see how Season 2 even furthers that. So that means we're entering the top 5, and number 5 for me is Blade. Blade is a movie that I've been super excited for ever since they announced it. Mahershala Ali playing Blade is such a fantastic choice, and I cannot wait to see how far they push it, because Doctor Strange actually pushed the gore and stuff a little further than I expected. So I think Blade can do it even more. This should be a really great project. I'm wondering still how it's going to tie into the universe as a whole. It might just kind of be its own little thing like Guardians were for a long time, but now I think it's okay to do those stories that just kind of feel like their own little pocket universes. I think this could tie in nicely to Moon Knight, as well as the end credit scene we see where we hear Blade talking to Black Knight as well. There's some really cool things that could lead into the Midnight Suns and all this stuff, that a whole side of like horror Marvel that we have not seen, that really kept Marvel alive for a long time during its Timely Comics era. Blade is something that I think really can be the foundation for a side of Marvel that I don't know if everybody knows they want, but I think we all really, really do want. So I'm very excited for Blade. That's number 5. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my number 4 pick, and that's mainly because we've waited so long, 5 years at this point. It'll be 6 years by the time it comes out, for the finale to James Gunn's trilogy of Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think James Gunn's sensibilities are really good, and when he wants to go dramatic, he can also make that work quite well. I'm hoping this movie is both very funny, but also has a lot of heavy moments, something that really sends us off, because we haven't really had a trilogy of movies in the MCU that felt so connected that it gave us send-offs for characters, that it felt like a wrap-up. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has the chance to do something special, which is really conclude an entire series, and I'm really excited to see how it does that. So that brings number 3 to me, and it's actually maybe a little lower on the list than you expected. It's Avengers 4 and 5. I lumped them here together. Avengers 4 and 5, The Kang Dynasty and Secret War. I'm excited for these movies, but I think for me, the only thing that's tempering my excitement from them being, 1 or 2 is the fact that we don't really know who the roster of the Avengers are yet. And there's a lot of new characters that we're still warming up to, we're still getting used to. Whereas when Infinity War and Endgame were coming out, we had been with these characters for almost a decade. The Captain Americas, the Thors, the Iron Mans. I'm still waiting to see who our lineup of Avengers are going to be for Avengers 4 and 5. And I think that's the only thing tempering my excitement. We also have not seen Kang yet. So how are we going to react to the live action film version of Kang? It should be great. Jonathan Majors is an excellent actor, so I think it should be fantastic. But, there's just a lot of unknowns about Avengers right now. So I think that is why, for me, it has dropped to 3. But of course, it's Avengers movies, so I'm always going to be excited for them. And I think as we start to ramp up through the end of Phase 4 into Phase 5, these should become probably the number 1 most anticipated. So that means we're into the top 2, and you know what the top 2 are, but which order will they be? Number 2 is going to be Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil Born Again, an 18-episode show. This seems like it's too good to be true. And Vincent D'Onofrio is back as Kingpin, as well as Charlie Cox as Daredevil. I could not be more excited for this. Obviously, adopting the name Born Again, a storyline that they kind of already did in season 3 of Daredevil in the Netflix universe. We'll see how much of Daredevil has translated into the MCU from the Netflix universe. But I'm fine with them kind of restarting and redoing some of the stories we've already seen. Daredevil's stories are so rich. We've had so many fantastic runs over the years. Daredevil is one of my absolute favorite Marvel characters. There's a lot they can do with Daredevil here, and I cannot wait to see what an epic 18-episode series is actually like from the MCU, instead of these more small stories that always feel crammed and rushed. Let Daredevil breathe. Let us have this epic welcome back for Daredevil into the MCU, and please let him be a part of everything, the Avengers, all the stuff that he should be. He's one of Marvel's best characters in the comics. He needs to be a bigger part of the MCU. That means number 1, and I think I talked about this on my Multiverse of Madness discussion with the MCU tier list when I posted it a couple months ago. But one of my absolute favorite things in comics, my favorite teams, my favorite characters are the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is one of the best comics that Marvel has, and I have been waiting for so long for the Fantastic Four to be done right. I'm really just hoping and praying this movie is great, and I think it just will open up so many avenues for the MCU. We've already used up Iron Man and Thor and Captain America so much, but really the 2 foundational pieces of the Marvel universe, the things that have been probably the biggest in the comics in terms of world building over since the 60s, was Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's first ever Marvel comic book team up, the Fantastic Four, as well as the X-Men, and neither one of them are in the MCU yet. They lay so many pieces, so many villains, so many epic plot points, so many things that will further fill out this entire MCU. Fantastic Four on the cosmic side, X-Men on the local side, all of it should be so good. And Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Galactus, Silver Surfer, all these things should be the foundational points of whatever we're doing in the future of the MCU. I cannot wait to see how they use the Fantastic Four. John Krasinski as Reed Richards, if he returns for the main MCU's Reed Richards, I'll be very happy about that. It adds some nice seriousness to the Fantastic Four, something that means we're taking this seriously, but we can also have fun and enjoy this series as a whole. I want the Hickman stuff in here. I think people think of Fantastic Four from those Jessica Alba movies. And the Fantastic Four is so much more than that. There's so many cool sci-fi stuff. I've also been pushing in so many videos over the last couple months for Vivian Lyra Blair to play Valeria Richards. I just think there's so many things you can really, really do with the Fantastic Four that will make the MCU so much better than it actually is. And so for me, it will still be number one probably until it comes out and I'm either very disappointed or extremely happy. So thank you all so much for watching this list and the rankings of the upcoming MCU projects. There were 18 here. I lumped them into 17 choices with Avengers 4 and 5 together. Let me know your rankings down below. How would you rank them from your least favorite to favorite or favorite to least favorite? If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. Let's try to get this video to 15 or 20 likes. I think we can get there if you all hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting a lot more content here about MCU and DC stuff, as well as some video game stuff. I have a list of my favorite Switch games coming out. I will also be having a list of my top 10 favorite movies of 2022 so far, because I do watch a lot of movies as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.